Hi, welcome to week 8 of Moda Sampler Block Shuffle. I wanted to go over a couple things before I get into the blocks. The first thing is I've already made all these blocks before I'm filming the intro, and I'm really glad that I did. There's one block in particular that in just a second I'm going to point out some information about. So just something to make it a little bit easier for you. We've got 6 more blocks to learn. Once we're done learning the 6 blocks, then we start figuring out how you want to set your quilt. I am trying to get a little bit ahead of you guys so that I can at least start putting one, if not both, of my quilt tops together. Not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. One of the 2 quilts I am going to set the way Moda did. The other quilt I'm gonna set my way. I wanted to tell you all thank you so much for your comments on the zigzag border. I am definitely gonna do it. I think that based on your comments and the way I'm seeing the quilt in my head come together, I think it's gonna look really cool that way. So those are the 2 big things I wanted to go through, or was that 3? Anyhow, those are the big things that I wanted to go through. The other thing I wanted to tell you is if you get a chance, go back and check out some of my other videos on YouTube. I'm not certain if you guys are having a chance to do that or not, but I wanted to say something. So now on to the blocks. This week we're going to do block number 22, which is by Basic Gray. Pretty simple block. 23 is by Betty. And I don't know how to pronounce her name. I've tried to figure it out. So I'm gonna go, or I'm sorry, it's Betsy. Betsy's Best Quilts in More.blogspot.com. So it's from Betsy, and this is the block. Pretty simple again. The last one is by Laundry Basket Quilts, and it's number 24. Anybody who knows me knows I am a huge fan of Laundry Basket Quilts blocks, or anything that Adidas Sitar designs and does. Her work is just beyond gorgeous. This block is the very first time that I actually had to scrap a block and completely do it over again. The block, I'll show it to you. The block has a lot of bias in it. It's beautiful. But I want you to be really careful about how much you press these pieces because you are dealing with bias. And it definitely does stretch because mine's stretched. You can see down through here, it's a mess. I tried fixing it and there was no fix to it. The bias had stretched too much and there just wasn't anything I could do. So I redid the block because I just couldn't tolerate it the way it was. So that is it. If you'd like to see how I put these blocks together, keep watching. Here's our next block, which is number 22. And this one is designed by Basic Gray. And here are my 2 colorways. And I'm going to put this together. I'll put these 4 patches together. Then once I get my 4 patches together, then I'll do a row, another row, and a 3rd row. And then I'll sew my rows together into one block. This block, the only thing that you really want to watch is that you don't spin these around, because just spinning it like this, you lose. Oh, let me turn it back first. Here, let's turn it back. See, when the block sits like this, you get this nice little X in the center. Well, if you spin this and you put some of these blocks together in the wrong spot, you lose it. So you're going to want to be careful of that. Otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward block. So I'm going to sew these and these and these, this one, and this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And the other thing I'm going to do is pick one color in these 2 patches and press all of my seams to that direction. I'm not certain which way I'm going yet, but either the blue or the brown background fabric. I'll sew it one way or the other, but I will come back and show you. This is block number 22, which is designed by Basic Gray. There's my blocks. I'm going to show you how I press these. Got a little fold over there. On these, I pressed one with the center columns in. I pressed the other one with the center out. Really didn't make much of a difference. I probably like the one with it pressed out a little bit better. I think the center of it lays a little flatter. This has got a little bit of a pucker. Not a pucker, but it just doesn't lay quite as flat. When I did the inside seams, you can see I staggered them. So I picked on this one to press towards the blue. I pressed all of them, or I'm sorry, towards the brown. I pressed all of them towards the brown. And then the blocks I pressed out towards the solid piece of fabric. And there are my 2 blocks. I like these. That was a nice one. Okay, here we go with block number 23. This is by Betsy Best Quilts and More. She has a website, .blogspot.com, and this is the block. It's really a simple one. Here we go again with the cat's cradle. In the last one, we pointed the cat's cradle out. This time we're going to point the cat's cradle in, and then just solid blocks. So I'm going to get this one laid out, then put it together. Okay, here are my blocks laid out. And this is the first half of the cat's cradle. So this block is actually going to set like this. Yep, just like that. So I'm going to start by sewing my cat's cradle. And when I do that, I'm going to line up one side like this. I'm going to stitch. And then I'm going to do that on all of them. I'll press it. And when I press it, I believe I'm going to press it out to the triangle. And then I will attach the second side. So I'll come back when the cat's cradles are all done so that you can see what those look like. Here is the top of my block. And I have drawn a line across the back so that I have a stitching line. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my block and I'm going to set it on the corner blocks and I'm going to stitch from this corner across to this corner so that when I fold it open, my block is going to look, my block will look like, let's see if I can do this like this. My block will look about like this. What I've done is the same thing that I did the last time I made a cat's cradle. These 2 blocks here, the triangles, the directions called for a 1 and 7/8 inch block cut in half diagonally. I did a 2-inch block. So I do have a little bit extra, but we've talked about that before and why I do that. I do it so that I don't lose my point right here. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to get my 4 corners sewn on and I will press it to the large block and then I'll put my block together. I've stitched all my pieces and I wanted to show you what it looks like. So here's the right side, and what I'm going to do next is just clean the block up a little bit before I proceed. So I'm going to clip off those dog ears, and then I'm going to take the bottom half of my block and flip that over. And I'm going to turn it around and see these dog ears I've got back here too. I'm just going to clip this right off too. And there's some extra fabric there, so I'm just gonna get rid of all of that all at once, okay? So I'm going to do that to all of my blocks, but I figured I better show you that before I go on and get them all trimmed up. All right, here are my 2 blocks laid out, and I'm going to now treat this as a simple 9 patch. So I will sew these 2, then these 2, then these 2, then this, and this. Then I'll press. And when I press this, I'm going to press these 2 into the center. I'm gonna press this one out, and then these 2 into the center. And then I will sew the entire block together. Here is block number 23. And there's my blocks, all done. These went together really pretty easily. I'm gonna flip it over so that you can see how I put it together. Here are my cat's cradle, and I pressed it out towards the solid block. And the center row was pressed out. The top and bottom rows were pressed into the solid blocks. And I pressed it in, the 2 outer rows in at the end. So you can see that's where they're pressed. And there's the blocks. I've divided this up a little bit. So over here to the side, I have my cornerstones. This block has a total of 8 of them in it. So there's my cornerstones. And this is my center block. These are the flying geese. And these units are the units that create this triangular effect around the quilt block. So what I'm going to do first is get my flying geese done. Once I get my flying geese done, then I am going to work at these. Flying geese will be done the way they always have been in this project, where I'll draw a line from point to point and sew, do all of the ones on one side, then do all the flying geese on the other side, and I will press it open. So once I get all of my flying geese done, then I'm gonna concentrate on these blocks to make certain that I do them correctly, because I don't wanna be taking them out. So I will be back when the flying geese are done. I think this might be turning out to be my absolute favorite block. But in the meantime, I've got all of my flying geese put together and all of these sections. This is just like the block last week, where you have to carefully place these corner pieces before you sew and flip. So make sure that you really check out your directions and that you're sewing it in the proper way. So I'm gonna put this back down where it goes. Now this is how I'm putting this little one together. I'm going to sew this, this, and this. I'm gonna put all that together. Then I'm gonna add this and this. Then I'm gonna add my outside rows. Okay, this one's a little different, and we've really gotta be careful on how we put it together, because I'm trying to see if there's a better way to do it. The other thing that you could do, there is another way to do it. You could do this entire row first, then do all of this, and then the top row. So a couple of different ways to put it together. I am going to do it the way I said, though. I'm going to do this square, put all this together. Then I'm going to sew this row, going to sew this on there, and then add the top and bottom. So I'm breaking it up into somewhat like a 9 patch, but not quite. So I'll let you know how it all goes together. I don't know if I'm gonna do both of them at the same time or not. Oh, I might as well live dangerously. I'll do them both the exact same way. I'll see you when I get done putting them together, and we'll see how it looks. And here is block number 24. And this one's designed by Laundry Basket Quilts. And I have to tell you, I think this block deserves its very own quilt. This is my favorite so far. A little bit about when I put it together. I've got one little mix up there that I'm gonna have to take that apart and fix that, because that's gonna bother me. But, okay. A little bit about this one and how it goes together. There's a lot of really, really tiny pieces. So this is how I did it. I'm gonna turn it so that it's actually going the way. I took this center block and I added these two, the flying geese. Then once I had those, I pressed those into the center. Then I took these flying geese and I added these squares to it. Once I had those squares, I sewed this entire piece together. Once I got done with that, I added these to the outside. And I added these little squares to the two ends, so that I was literally doing, here's one row, there's two rows, and there's the third row. So I put it together so that I had 3 rows. The pressing, let's see, this went in, this went out, this went in, this went out. So you're gonna have to play a little bit with the pressing of it, but it does go together very, very well. Not difficult at all to put together, but a lot of really little pieces. The only part that could get tricky for you is this piece, only because you're sewing and flipping in 2 different directions. So make certain that you pay close attention to that. So that is the end of this block. I hope you enjoyed week 8. I really can't believe we're already at week 8 of Moda's sampler block shuffle. So I'll go through my blocks with you like I always do at the end. Let me reorganize things. The first one is by Basic Gray. And here's my colorway 1. And here's my colorway 2. And here they are together. Well. The next one is by Betsy. I can't pronounce her last name. If anybody knows how to do it, please leave a comment below so I can figure it out. And this is block 1 of mine. And this is block 2. My last one is by Laundry Basket Quilts. And here's the block. And here's one colorway. This is the redo one. And here is colorway 2. And here they are together. And out of all of the blocks, I truly believe that this one deserves its very own quilt. I am madly in love with the way this block looks. So if you lay it straight, it still looks, I mean, it looks great no matter what you do with it. I just love this block. So I really hope you enjoyed week 8. Next week I will be back with blocks 25, 6, and 7. And I hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Please make certain that you subscribe. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks so much. Talk to you again next week. Bye.